Hi, welcome back. So in the previous video, we've learned about the fundamental concept of management, the functional approach of management, why there is a need to study management because of its universal application. After learning the fundamental concept of management, we are moving towards learning the context of management, where management is performed, that is the organizations. Now, organizations, how they are related with the management activity, what kind of relationship these two elements hold, what are the different components of organizational environment, all this we are going to learn in this video. Let's start by understanding what are organizations. Organizations are the place where the management is performed. It's a deliberate arrangement of people, resources which act together to accomplish a specific purpose. For example, the university in which you study, or an organization where you work, or a player of a cricket team, or different workplaces wherein people collectively work together for employment purposes, different NGOs which established for a non-profit motive. All are different examples of some kind of organizations. But what is common in all of these kind of examples? So there are three common characteristics that define the essence of an organization. It could be of any kind, any type, or any purpose of organization. Any nature of activity could be carried on in an organization. But every organization possesses these three common characteristics. One of which is the distinct purpose. Now, every organization is organized for the purpose of performing something. There has to be a goal, there has to be a purpose for its existence. If a non-profit organization is existing, its purpose is to serve the social benefit. It is there for the purpose of social development and not for making profit. In comparison to the other kind of organizations which are profit motive organizations, like any textile industry or a construction industry or any consultative agency, whatever nature of employment is, people work for the purpose of earning economic profit. So the purpose is very important for the existence of an organization, not the motive that why it is existing. That purpose basically is expressed in terms of certain kind of goals or a kind of objectives which are being set to delegate tasks and responsibilities in an organization. So the purpose is very important. That is one characteristic. The other characteristic is its people. Now the organizations are known by its people. The kind of people which work within an organization, they are not just only human beings, but they are also a set of the skills, knowledge and abilities that they carry with themselves. So the bundle of the talent that works within an organization is something that helps to identify distinctiveness in an organization from one to another. The third element which is very important for any organization is to have a kind of a structure. There will always be a deliberate structure. It could be open, it could be closed system, it could be a flexible way of working of a system wherein the hierarchies in an organization are not very closely knitted. They are flexible in nature, there are less of the hierarchies, the nature of formalization is less in certain kind of organization. While in contrast, we could see some kind of systems which are strictly formalized. The chain of command is top to down, clearly defined in an organization. The kind of standardization is very much important for those kind of organizations. So the three elements which are very important to understand, that every organization exists for a purpose, and its people, which are very important distinctive parameter to differentiate between two organizations, and of course the structure, the way in which the flow of activities in an organization are defined. It can be closed, it can be open, but the structure is very important. So these are the three elements that helps us to get an idea of what different organizations are made up of. Now, what is its relationship with the management? Management and organizations are so closely knitted that we can say that management cannot exist if there is no organization, and organization cannot function if there is no management. Management is not a close-ended activity that managers can take decisions without referring to any of the circumstantial factors or any of the environmental conditions. Rather, it is an open-ended activity because it is affected by the factors which are changing within an organization and outside the organization. So the relationship between these two parameters, which is organization and management, is knotted. We could say that they are so interrelated that none of which can be performed in isolation. So organization and management are interrelated with each other, so much so that they both cannot function without each other. Now every organization has its environment, and it has certain kind of factors that affect its functioning, and also the functioning within an organization is a reflection of the changes happening in its environment. Every organization is surrounded by two types of environment, one of which is internal, that is within the organization, and another one is the external, which is the external to the organization. We will understand it what are the components of each of these environment, but just to quickly take an overview, the internal environment is composed of several factors that helps a manager to decide, and it has the capability to affect the functioning of an organization and the managerial decision making directly. The external environment is itself composed of two main of the environments, one of which is the task environment and the other is a general environment. Before we go and understand the components of each of these environments, let us also understand the contrasting view of the management actions. Now we understand and appreciate that the management is all about taking managerial decisions, and managerial decisions are impacted not just based on the abilities of a manager to decide and the knowledge of the manager, but there are also certain factors which affects its decision making. It can also be internal and external and can act as constraint with its actions or decision making. Now there are two popular perspectives to look at this scenario. One of is the omnipotent view and the other is the symbolic view. Omnipotent view talks about that the managers are directly responsible for decision making in an organization, and if the decisions are successful, it is the uh, whole sole responsibility of the manager, while if the management fails or any of the decision making fails or any setting of the objectives and its execution fails, the sole responsibility goes on to the manager, which is also the general view, because we always put the blame of a failure to the manager, or we put the label of success to the manager's shoulder. Now the other view, which is the symbolic view, talks about the philosophy which says that the decision making of a manager is not just its own responsibility, but it is also affected by some of the external factors which are outside the control of the organization or the management. So these two views are contrasting in nature. One of the view is putting the whole sole responsibility of success or failure on a manager, while the other is also including the importance of the external factors that may influence the decision making. In reality, the managers are neither all powerful or nor helpless. It's like it's a mix of a combination, that a far-sightedness and a vision of a managerial skills and knowledge and abilities of course are very very relevant for decision making, but at the same time there are certain situations, certain characteristics of the environmental factors that influence the decision making. Many a times manager have to work in some kind of situations wherein they have some scarce resources. Sometimes the legal law forces them to take certain kind of decisions. So we could say any factor which is changing and external to the organization is not in the hands of the manager. The manager cannot control it, or the management in totality cannot control these factors. And since they cannot control these factors, this kind of situation cannot be ignored. So the viewpoint of putting the success and the failure blame or a credit to the manager, it is also essential to reflect on those factors which are influencing his or her decision making. Now the constraints could be external, the constraints could be internal. When we say the external constraints, they are coming from the external environmental situations and conditions, while if we look at the internal constraints, they are mostly from the organization itself, that is within the organization. There are certain situations and certain dynamics within an organization culture that acts as a kind of constraint when a manager is making decision, and it influences the decision making ability of a manager. Let us start by understanding the internal environment of an organization. Now, by internal environment, as the name indicates, it's something that is within the boundaries of the organization. It is something that constitutes everything inside a firm, and it might affect the ability of a manager to decide and to act upon certain rules, strategies, or decision making. The internal environment is composed of three important elements. Those three elements are the organization of the firm, the employees of the firm, and the other resources. Let us understand what is this organization of the firm. Now, every organization is based on certain kind of design, a certain kind of a culture, a certain kind of philosophy. We already have understood that every organization is different from the other. Even if the rival organizations are there, the way of functioning and the philosophy with which the organizations are established will be different. However, the products and services in which they are dealing are same. Now, in the organization of the firm, there are the value systems, there are the vision, the mission, the objectives of the organization. It also comprises of the structure and the culture of the organization. When we talk about the value system, it talks about the philosophy with which the organization is established. The foundational values, the foundational notion of belief is something that is being defined through the value systems. It typically gives us an idea of that why an organization is existing and how the organization is going to function. Whatever decisions, whatever structuring, whatever culture is going to be fostered in an organization is all dependent upon the philosophy of the organization, and that is why the value system is extremely important. So in simple terms, we could say the value system comprises of the beliefs and the philosophy of the organization. So we could say the value system is the basic fundamental belief on which the organization stands. So value system is extremely important and it acts as a soul of an organization. We understand that the value system is the root on which the tree of the organization is going to prosper. Now, the vision is something that we could say an expression of the philosophy. It has to be communicated to the society at large. So, basically, that philosophy has to be communicated, and it communicated through the vision of the company. That describes the scope and expansion of the growth. The kind of decisions the organization is going to take in the future course of time will be dependent and will be a reflection of the vision of the company. So we could say that value systems are the philosophy with which the organization is established, but vision is an expression of that philosophy that helps the society at large to understand that what exactly is the purpose for which the organization stands and what is the scope of activity that the organization is going to take decisions upon and expend their working upon. So it is the expression of philosophy. Now, the mission of the organization is also a kind of a breaking down of the vision into the different steps. It could be a kind of a reflection of the vision itself. So, the vision and mission has to be aligned together. The mission of the organization describes the way in which the organization is moving ahead in the direction for the very purpose that the organization was being established. So, the value system, the vision and the mission of the organization have to be aligned together. They are a part of each other. In addition to vision and mission, there are objectives. Now, objectives are the small steps that the organization take into the direction of achieving their vision and mission. The objectives have to be smart in nature. It could be for the short term, and that is why their specificity and the clarity is very, very important. So, objectives work as a kind of a roadmap and a plan to set the tone where the organization is going to take lead and act upon. So, objectives are some kind of small steps that we could say that are smart in nature in terms of being specific, measurable, attainable, realistic and time bound and are of short term typically, so that the organization can move in a direction of a desirable goal to achieve the vision and the mission. The objectives act as certain kind of steps and a ladder through which we could say that the purpose of the organization is achieved. So objectives are very important, especially at the lower level, because to execute the philosophy, to execute the task in an organization, setting objectives is a very, very important aspect. Another very important element of the internal environment is the structure of the organization. Now, structure defines the way in which the organization is designed. The next element in the internal environment is the organization structure. Now, organization structure is something that describes the layout of an organization. We could say the way in which the organization is designed, the way in which the tasks and responsibilities in an organization are going to be delegated, the kind of hierarchy which is going to be functional in an organization, for the flow of activities. All of that could be understood with the kind of design that an organization adopts. Now, organization can be mechanistic in nature, organization can also be organic in nature. When we say a organization task focuses more on specialization, when the focus of an organization is more on standardization, the design of an organization could be mechanistic in nature or it could be organic in nature. When we say that in an organization there are too much of formalities and too much of standardization which is preferred in task delegation and task performance, we could say the structure is more mechanistic in nature. Mechanistic, as the name suggests, is more formalized chain of command that will be followed in an organization. The hierarchies that will be in an organization are clearly communicated to the subordinates also, so that the supervision reporting mechanism could remain intact. So those organizations that functions in a stable environment and also that prefers more of the standardization in an organization and formality in work procedures are going to prefer the mechanistic structure and design. While the other design that we understand from the viewpoint of the functioning of an organization is more organic in nature. Now, organic, as the name suggests, is more dynamic in nature. It is more flexible in nature, that is easily adaptable to the environmental conditions. So herein we could say that the formality in an organization in delegating and executing of the task is less as compared to the mechanistic nature, and the focus is more on the creativity and the dynamism between the team rather than focusing on the hierarchies and the authority and responsibility, command and subordination kind of relationship. So mechanistic and organic could be two ways in which the organization can design their layout. So if the tasks are loosely connected with each other, we could say the structure is more dynamic in nature and it's more organic. While at the same time, if the tasks are very tightly connected with each other and the focus is too much on the hierarchy and top to down philosophy is more practiced in an organization related to task delegation and decision making, the delegation of the authority is centralized. So the authority is more centralized in a mechanistic nature of organization, while it is more decentralized in a organic nature of structure. However, both are different forms of organization. It depends upon the nature of the top to down philosophy, that how the task will be connected with each other and how the flow of information and task delegation is going to be adopted as a practice in organization. The next element in the organization of firm is its corporate culture. Now, corporate culture is nothing but the value system in action. So we could say that how the people at the top level are going to treat and behave with the employees in an organization, or at the managers at the middle level and the lower level, and also at the non-managerial level, how they are going to treat them, how they are going to behave with them, what kind of practices are going to be adopted in terms of dealing with the matter of people within an organization. All these are something that we could say is a reflection of the philosophy of organization that is enacted through the culture of the organization. So, in simple terms, it is a value system in action, that is the culture of organization. So, all of this defines the internal organization of the firm, which are very important internal factors. The next important component in the internal environment is its employees, the people that work within an organization. Now, by the term people, we cannot only say that they are just a resource that can be used as an input in the process of transformation, but they are the bundle of the talents, they are the bundle of the knowledge, skills and abilities that helps an organization to differentiate itself with the other organizations that exist. So it's the people within an organization that helps an organization to perform. And of course, we say that two organizations can be differentiated based on the kind of people and the kind of talent that they have acquired for the purpose of achieving their goals. The other element which is very important are the other resources, which are the physical and the technological capabilities. It includes all the tangible and intangible resources of an organization other than human resources. So, we could say that the other resources in an organization are also very, very important. and these resources are also very significant in understanding and how it facilitates the decision making or it hinders the decision making. So the internal elements in an organization are internal to its boundaries, and whatever is within the framework of the organization and the people who are directly involved in its formulation of policy making and execution of the work are some of the internal factors that helps us to get an idea of what is the internal environment of an organization.